Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, and I'm very pleased to bring to you today our very first critical vote tracking during the John Bel Edwards tenure. And as I told you in a previous video, we are going to track those votes that are deemed critical, and that would certainly include tax increase measures. But the first critical vote happened during Inauguration Day, and that would be the election for the Speaker of the House. And as I told you previously, we were going to track that vote, and there is a direct link down below this video to a PDF file that will give you exactly how each of the 105 House members voted in the election for Speaker. And we've made life easier for you in that we have taken the 8 Republicans who voted for Democratic candidate and nominee supported by John Bel Edwards, Walt LeJay. We have highlighted those 8 Republicans who voted with Mr. LeJay. We have also provided a direct link to the home page for the House of Representatives for each of those 8 representatives, so that you can take a look, see which district they're from, see which area they represent, and certainly we would hope that you would know who your representative is in order that you might assess whether or not that may impact your decision come time for re-election. And as I said, we will do the same thing on these impending tax votes that will be coming up. So very easily, all you have to do is click on the PDF file. That will give you the actual vote for each of the candidates, as well as having highlighted those 8 Republicans who crossed over and supported John Bel Edwards as his nominee, Walt LeJay, in that election. Obviously, as everyone knows, that didn't quite work out for Governor Edwards. And we ended up with Taylor Barra as our Speaker of the House, a Republican. And so I guess the very first strong-arm tactic of Governor Edwards and his power play didn't quite play out as he anticipated. Now, let me just say this. Let's move on to those critical tax measures. We're about to enter the special session. We will be tracking those measures. There is an excellent article that has come out in the Times-Picayune, and we're providing you with a direct link to that article. And it says that the committee, which is advising Governor Edwards on recommendations for dealing with this so-called budget crisis that we have, they have come up with a number of menu options, if you will, for tax increases. And I'm going to just give you the highlights of that article. You've got the direct link for it. But I want to read off one paragraph in here that is particularly galling to me. All right, and this is a summary of the committee's findings, and here's a quote that they wanted all of us to be aware of, and I quote now: taxpayers need to be aware that the slogan, quote, "doing more with less," unquote, only stretches so far. And at some point, agencies reach the level where, despite their best efforts, the result is they can only, quote, "do less with less," unquote. The committee wrote, "Fewer and lower quality services are the trade-off for a smaller revenue component to the budget shortfall solution." All right, well, here's why that galls me. You talk about doing more with less, and at some point we can do less with less. How does that jive with the video I showed you earlier of Jay Darden being appointed at $237,000 a year and then having an impact on the unfunded accrued liability of the state retirement system of $615,000 a year? You tell me how that's doing less with less. It seems like as long as the largesse is out there for the certain select folk that Mr. John Bel Edwards would seem to be in favor with, that those rules don't apply. And I would again reiterate my challenge to you at the end of the prior video I had. If everything's on the table, let's impose a special, let's remove the exemption at the state income tax level above a certain threshold of, say, $60,000 for these fat cats like Jay Darden, who are going to be drawing these outrageous pensions as a result of John Bel Edwards' quest to have his endorsement. And so don't come to me with this type of thing and expect me to take anything like that you take seriously when you're handing out these kind of ridiculous packages and then sit back and say, oh, you're going to have to make sacrifice. Let's see a little sacrifice coming from within the John Bel Edwards inner circle. That's when maybe you'll have a little bit of credibility in coming out with these kind of statements. Now, if you go further down the article, you're going to just see, it's unbelievable, everything they've got on the table here. They're talking about removing the federal taxes that you pay from your state income taxes. Far as I'm concerned, when you do that, you're taxing me on the taxes I've already paid. All right? So now you're saying that we're not going to let you deduct the federal income taxes that you pay. We're going to tax you on those taxes. Okay, so, that really ought to be a non-starter, but that's one of the items they've got on here, talking about reversing Stelly. The portion of the Stelly was repealed in 2008. They're talking about going back and enacting that. It's just a whole plethora of things there. I'll let you look through, and they're talking about increasing the gas tax. They're talking about subjecting services that currently don't have sales taxes associated with them, like haircuts, printing operations, things of that nature. They're talking about imposing the sales tax on that. We're talking about lowering the homestead exemption to where everybody certain people who are below $75,000 right now aren't paying any property taxes. They want them to start. Again, we're talking about the sales tax expansion. We're talking about removing the federal the deduction for your federal income taxes. And I'm just hitting the high points here. And most galling of all, it wraps up by saying that Foster Campbell, who apparently played a key role on this committee, is once again out there advertising or advocating a processing tax on oil and gas. Now here we are with it went down to as low as a little over $29 a barrel last week. That's what it was priced at when I was a senior in high school. And I don't mind telling you, that was 35 years ago, okay? So we have some of the most incredible struggles going on within the oil patch in this state, in Houma, Lafayette, Thibodaux, New Iberia. All of those areas are under tremendous strains now, losing jobs, and we're going to come out with a report that starts talking about putting a processing tax? You have to wonder, what in the hell are these people using for brains at times? But yet that's what's come out in this report. So, and I want to say one other thing. That was the New Orleans Times-Picayune article. Prior to that one, there was a WBRC report that came out, because I don't want anybody to think, can't get that one locked up on me. But trust me, if I were able to pull it up, it's one of the things I don't like about this WBRC news app. It will lock up on you at a drop of a hat. So I'm not able to pull it up, but they talk about the whole plethora of potential tax increases. It largely mirrors what the advocate link that I'm providing you for. So those are some of the high points of what we're getting ready to face in this upcoming special session. Now, let me just say this. In the last session, C.B. Ferguson did the most fantastic job of giving direct links for the votes. These folks were coming out with different revenue raising proposals. There was no way that I could have tracked all these things. And luckily I had him. I am so disheartened that we won't have him this time, because it didn't make it real simple about just proposing a bill that's a straightforward tax increase. They tried to get cute with all this because they were concerned about constitutionality and needing a 2/3 votes. So they did things like House Concurrent Resolution 8 and all that. And had it not been for CB, there's no way I could have kept up with everything they proposed, and much less his valuable insight into how votes were going to go, and even saying how certain legislators were going to vote. And he was always right. Virtually always was he right. And we're going to dearly, dearly miss the ability to have that. It's going to put me at a handicap. It's going to put all of us at a handicap. But I'm believing collectively, no matter how many different measures come up in this special session, one way or another, we'll be able to stay on top of them. But I'm going to let you know right now, it's certainly going to be a lot more challenging for me in this upcoming session than it was in the last one, because of the tremendous efforts of C.B. Ferguson. And so let me just say this, though. I previously told you during the last video that there was no alternative but to upgrade John Bel Edwards to a Category 4 hurricane. Well, the hurricane has now made landfall, and we're seeing the kind of devastation. I just read them off to you. They are looking to take you and literally, sock it to us. And so the only thing we can try to do is board up the windows to try to mitigate the damage. And the boards and the lumber in this case are your legislators. They are your state representatives and they are your state senators. Now, it's supposed to take a 2/3 vote to get these kind of things done. But as you saw from the last session, they got pretty creative about circumventing that little requirement. And I want to just wrap up in saying that I cannot say enough about the quality of the articles and the investigative reporting that is coming out from the hayride. If you are a conservative or lean conservative, you really owe it to yourself not only to visit that website, www.thehayride.com, but to sign up for their daily news alerts. John, Kevin, and Scott are putting out tremendous articles. The only problem I'm having right now, they're coming out with them so fast and so furious that it's difficult to keep up for me. But trust me, I don't want to not have these things directly associated. So whenever excellent articles come out, for instance, John did an excellent article on Troopergate, as he called it, the title, an excellent title in dealing with the whole Mike Ed. Well, it dealt with the Louisiana State Troopers Association and funds being diverted into the John Bell Edwards campaign using a straw donor named David Young. And I want us to be able to have access to these articles. As time goes on, I want to be able to have ready access to them. So as often as I can, I am adding direct links into these hayride articles into what we have in the jbefraudsite.com. For instance, if you go to the Mike Edmondson reappointment, which I did back in mid-December, there'll be a direct link now to John's excellent article. Likewise, also below this video, you'll see an outstanding article that Scott McKay did with regard to contrasting John Bell Edwards' immediate propensity to go in and invoke tax hikes in contrast to Treasurer Kennedy's approach of outlining all of the wasteful spending that we've got, which apparently nobody's going to listen to him. And then again, there's also going to be a link at the bottom of this particular feature where Scott McKay once again did an outstanding article giving the behind-the-scenes activity that led up to this House Speaker's vote. So that is the purpose of this particular episode, was to enable you to see which of the 8 Republicans defected over and went with Walt Leger, and also to get us on guard, get us ready, let you know for certain what all taxes they are looking at, and they are looking at a plethora of taxes, and I haven't heard a word about working on the spending side, other than some vague references that there may be some furloughs. That's been it, and I mean they have been vague. Listen to what John Kennedy has had to say about the excess extravagance, and I'll throw out some other things. This state has entirely too many boards, occupational licensing boards and commissions that are useless, okay? And quite a number of them are sitting on quite a bit of money. Here's one easy solution. Shut those things down, okay? And allow people to go out there and work and earn a living and take their money, take the money that exists in these boards and commissions, and don't give it back and wipe them out of existence, okay? Those are some of the things you likely would have seen, not likely, I'm not virtual certainty to have seen under a Vitter administration. And it would be incredible if John Bell Edwards would actually do something like this. I mean, you look at the Interior Design Board, a proven board that discriminates against the hiring of minorities by imposing artificial barriers to entry, and guess what? When they enacted all of that, requiring you to have a college degree and 2 years of internship with another interior designer, guess what? They conveniently grandfathered in all the existing practitioners. All they were doing was saying, we're going to block potential competition down the road, and that inflates prices. As David Vitter has said, it's anti-American, it's anti-free enterprise, and those things need to be done away with. And unfortunately, we have a governor who's probably not going to lift the first finger to do that sort of thing. But boy, when he needs to start talking about moving tax increases, he's going to do them. Now, I did have a few people to tell me that the use of the word fraud was an awfully strong term with regard to this website, jbefraud.com. I could not disagree more, because if you go and take a business law class, and anybody who has a finance degree or accounting, any accounting, finance, economics, any business major, you would have been required to take business law. What is fraud? Fraud is a statement of material fact, all right? When you make statements that, hey, we don't need to raise taxes, we can do this without raising taxes, that is a statement. It is of material fact, and regrettably, some voters justifiably relied upon that statement to vote for John Bel Edwards. And those are the conditions of fraud. It is a material statement. It is a statement of material fact which was justifiably relied upon. So no, I don't think the word fraud is too strong at all. I believe John Bel Edwards committed political fraud when he told the voters of this state those type statements, and that's just the beginning. So no, I make no apologies for the title of this website. It is jbefraud.com, and I believe this gentleman has engaged in political fraud, and we have an obligation to expose it. So I want everybody to hang on, hold on tight. The special session is less than a month away. Hold on to your wallet, and let's start boarding up the windows. Get in contact with your state representative, your senator. Let them know how adamantly opposed you are to being hit with more taxes when there's doing absolutely nothing to rein in the wasteful state spending that John Kennedy has so repeatedly elaborated upon. So once again, this is Robert Burns wishing everybody a happy Martin Luther King holiday. And like I said, be ready and at the ready for this upcoming special session. And let's hope we're all able to survive it without the enormity of damage of John Bel Edwards becoming a Category 5 hurricane. Thank you once again. Look forward to bringing you the next episode.